A traffic stop can be a stressful and nerve-wracking experience, especially if you've had a few drinks. In moments of panic, people often make mistakes, such as admitting to drinking or trying to explain their actions. Statements like, "I only had 2 beers," are often counterproductive and can make your situation far worse. Knowing what not to say and how to act during police interactions is critical to protecting your rights. In this video, we'll cover essential tips to help you navigate traffic stops with confidence, avoid common pitfalls, and understand the importance of seeking skilled legal representation. As a former deputy district attorney and now a criminal defense attorney with over 20 years of experience handling DUI cases, I've read thousands of case reports. Every time I review the discovery on a new case, I often find myself thinking, I wish my client would have stopped talking. When I was a prosecutor, I would think, please keep talking, because every word spoken adds more evidence for the prosecution. Today, body cams and dash cams capture much of what you say and do, and this footage is frequently used in court. In this video, I will share key advice on how to handle a traffic stop, common mistakes to avoid, and why exercising your rights is crucial to protecting your case. Drink responsibly. The best advice. The first and most important piece of advice is to drink responsibly. Make sure you have a designated driver or use a ride-sharing service like Uber or Lyft. A $30 ride home is much cheaper and much less stressful than dealing with the consequences of a DUI. While this might seem obvious, alcohol can impair judgment, and people don't always make the best decisions when they've been drinking. Have a solid plan before you go out and stick to it. Stop talking. Less is more. When you're pulled over for a DUI suspicion, your best move is to stop talking. People often feel the need to explain themselves, but doing so rarely helps. In fact, it often makes matters worse. Here's why. One of the most common mistakes is admitting to drinking. Telling the officer, "I only had 2 beers," won't help your case. In fact, it gives the officer a reason to investigate further. By admitting to drinking, even in small quantities, you are providing evidence that can be used against you in court. The cliché 2 beers response is so common that it immediately raises suspicion rather than dispelling it. Instead, be polite but avoid discussing your drinking or giving any details about your evening. Remember, the more you talk, the more evidence you provide for your prosecution. And as you continue talking, you give the officer more opportunities to detect alcohol on your breath. It's best to keep your answers short and to the point and refrain from providing any unnecessary details. Common mistakes during traffic stops. Let's take a look at some of the most common mistakes people make during DUI traffic stops and how to avoid them. 1. I only had 2 beers. As mentioned earlier, admitting to having 2 beers is one of the most common and detrimental mistakes people make. This admission can turn what might have been a routine traffic stop into a DUI investigation. Never volunteer information about your drinking habits. 2. Making aggressive statements. During a stressful situation like a traffic stop, it's tempting to act defensively or argue with the officer. However, being aggressive or confrontational can escalate the situation. Phrases like, "Why did you pull me over?" or "I know my rights," said in an aggressive tone can backfire. Instead, be polite, calm, and comply with the officer's lawful requests. The side of the road is not the place to challenge the officer's authority. That's what the courtroom is for. By staying respectful, you avoid additional charges like resisting arrest or disorderly conduct and help create a more favorable impression for any future legal proceedings. 3. Talking too much to police. Talking too much is another common mistake that can hurt your case. When pulled over, some people feel the need to explain their entire evening or justify their actions. The more you talk, the more opportunities you give the police to find inconsistencies in your story or detect signs of impairment. Additionally, the longer the conversation, the more likely the officer will smell alcohol on your breath. For example, if the officer asks, "How much have you had to drink tonight?" a long-winded explanation may inadvertently reveal clues that can be used against you. It's important to keep your answers short and stick to basic identifying information. If you feel pressured, politely decline to answer further questions until you've spoken to an attorney. This way, you avoid giving the officer more evidence to use against you. What to do instead? Here's how to handle a traffic stop in a way that protects your rights in your case. 1. Stay calm and be respectful. The first step is to stay calm and be respectful. Being upset or anxious can lead you to say or do things that might hurt your case. Pull over safely, keep your hands on the steering wheel, and wait for the officer to approach. When asked for your license, registration, and insurance, provide them calmly without making any sudden movements. If you need to reach for something, inform the officer first. 2. Don't make admissions. Avoid making any admissions or volunteering information. Whether it's about drinking or where you've been, you are under no obligation to explain yourself. Saying things like, "I had 2 beers," or "I was at a friend's party," can strengthen the officer's suspicion and provide more evidence for the prosecution. You have the right to remain silent, and it's important to use that right to avoid self-incrimination. Here are a few common questions you might be asked and how to handle them. How much have you had to drink tonight? It's within your rights to politely say, "I would rather not answer that." Do you know why I stopped you? You can respond with a simple no, without guessing or explaining. On a scale of 1 to 10, how intoxicated are you? Politely decline to answer. Where are you coming from? Again, you don't have to volunteer this information. 3. Know your rights. Finally, understanding your rights during a traffic stop is key to protecting yourself. You are allowed to remain silent and refuse to answer any incriminating questions. You also have the right to refuse consent for a vehicle search unless the officer has probable cause or a warrant. If the officer asks you to step out of the car, comply calmly, but remember you don't have to explain your actions or whereabouts. Why legal representation is crucial. If you are charged with a DUI, having skilled legal representation is crucial. A DUI lawyer can evaluate your case, challenge the legality of the traffic stop, and review the evidence for any procedural errors. They can also argue that your silence and refusal to answer questions were an exercise of your rights, not an indication of guilt. If you are facing drunk driving charges in Colorado Springs, the MC Dowell Law Firm is here to help. We offer no obligation consultations, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about your pending case. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more tips to protect your rights during legal situations, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below or visit us at mcdowellfirm.com and book your attorney today. Read our client reviews to learn more about our successful defense strategies and how we can help you navigate your legal situation. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.